Welcome to Grawlix Podcast. Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. Both. Welcome to both.
Yeah.
I'm Randy.
Yep. I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Well, since we're starting this off on a rough foot anyway, I was just thinking, Jesse, we were talking about upload speeds for our respective internet service providers. When I set StreamYard, the easiest way to record a live stream, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When I set this to record and it uploads like our local files in the background, yours is like done by the time I hit end stream, and I have to leave my window open for like an hour and a half after we end the stream.
Oh.
So that's the difference in upload speed.
Yeah, I was going to say, it usually does not ask me to leave anything open. It's just like, green check.
Yeah.
As
soon as we're done. And it doesn't record you because you're on Chrome. You're on a Chromebook. An older Chromebook. I don't know if they support different Chromebooks or not, but well, hey, that's not what we're talking about tonight, though. We're talking about
What are we talking about?
Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Oh, Melanie legitimately forget. Yeah, we're going to talk about the second Doctor Who 60th anniversary special, Into the Wild Blue Yonder.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be our main topic. I'm kind of excited to talk about it. But first, my flow is all jacked up tonight. I don't know what happened. But first, how are you two doing? How are you guys?
Well,
hanging?
I'm just getting over a sickness that someone passed me last week. So I'm okay, but I might still be a little nasal.
I'm still a little nasally myself. It's mostly a little nasal now.
I'm perfect.
Oh, good.
No, I blew through it pretty quick, but yeah. So we're on the mend. We're on the mend. Yeah, we're gonna get to Doctor Who pretty quick tonight, I think.
All right.
I do want to say we'll return briefly to our what did you consume this week? Melanie and I finally finished Doom Patrol, the TV series. Finished because it was the last season, and they knew it was the last season. So I mean, at least they like wrapped it up. And I will say, not as bad as Sabrina, but this season was pretty rough, and I was like, nah, okay, it's time to go. It's time for you to leave.
And they didn't leave any chance of a return either because, they got rid of some characters.
they got spoilers. They got rid of most characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, this season was rough, man. It was just really kind of, and maybe it was a steady decline, because I do feel like the first season, or maybe at least the first two, were great. This season was kind of a mess, but like, it was kind of a mess, and it also felt like most character arcs were in a pretty satisfying place at the end of the third season. So a lot of characters that kind of felt like took a step back or just were being D-bags for no reason most of the season.
I think they needed more Tudyk.
Yeah, but they haven't had him
use
since
more cowbell. I mean, Alan Tudyk.
Right. If you've never watched it though, I think it's still worth watching. And on the upside, even if the fourth season's rocky, it still has, and I'm sorry for forgetting her name, but it still has Missy.
Yeah, I love her. She's my favorite character now,
She came in, I think, the third season and just became a regular of the show. So she's great all the time.
Doesn't Michelle Rodriguez? It's not Michelle Rodriguez, is it?
That's a different Rodriguez.
Michelle Gomez?
Or a different Michelle Gomez.
Okay.
Now I need to know. That's funny.
I should know that. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to derail, but we also finished watching Loki. which I thought was great.
I was
personally.
just going to ask. I was like, speaking of finishing things, did you finish Loki?
Yes.
It was magical.
Where is okay?
there was magic? In it.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I am trying to find her name. Yeah, Michelle Gomez. Yeah, you had it. Okay. Michelle
After
Gomez.
I screwed it up, yeah.
She's amazing. Loki. It's interesting because since we finished Loki, we watched the usual YouTube channel things for show, like honest trailers or pitch meetings. Ryan George's pitch meetings. Those are great, but we watched those and they both had similar complaints. So I'm guessing that's kind of the general consensus, and people are kind of down on this season.
Really?
They're crazy.
I mean, I do think story-wise, I think the first season was maybe a more exciting adventure in a way, but no, this season was awesome. There was just a lot of super cool concepts and ideas, and
That's the problem. People don't like to have to think about science because they don't understand it, so they just like, it's just too much science. That's my
Right.
opinion.
and people are so fickle, like anything multiverse type related. Although this season kind of deals a little bit more with time travel, but anything multiverse related at this point, they're like, well, multiverse. They're like burnout on it, which I get. Like,
Sure.
there were
We had none, and then we had nothing but.
4 or 5 big movies that were all multiverse at least, and not all of them were Marvel. So
Right. Varying degrees of success,
yeah,
I feel like this one didn't really follow this season. Like last season was the multiverse season. This season
Yeah.
was really more the time travel season.
yeah. No, I agree with that. Like the multiverse, other than the characters, it was more about jumping around in time back and forth to try to stop a thing.
And
Or
Ouroboros, Obi, he is by far the MVP.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the season a lot.
Me too.
I thought it was
like-
a perfect ending for him, too, the character.
agree.
you know.
Right.
I don't understand why nobody can go and visit him though. Why can't he could just have some people come and be like, "Hey, what's up?" That don't make no sense to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
He Who Remains could do that. I'm wondering if that's what Renfield, like Renfield clearly is like at the end of time. And
Oh,
sees the storm or
Renslayer?
whatever. Oh, Renslayer, not Renfield.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage. Sorry.
Yeah, it did give her a tease or something or she was gonna get eaten at the end of time, but I don't know. Yeah,
But it was also
that was a
purple,
weird.
so it might have been a Kang. You never know.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed that it seems like Marvel's gonna kind of abandon this whole like Kang thing.
Well, maybe it'll depend on
Well,
how the
they're
trial goes.
definitely- Yeah, they're definitely thinking about recasting it. I mean, at the very least. And I don't know. He's so good.
Yeah.
I know, right? That's the thing. So his trial is underway, and today would have been the 3rd day of like actual court stuff happening. It's not televised, but there is one of the like legal channels that I'll watch sometimes. She's doing Legal Bites. She's doing daily recaps, and so we've been following that a bit just to kind of see how that pans out and get more information, because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, he's canceled or whatever, and sometimes I want to know, well, is that legit? Does it seem like, should I be upset he's not going to be in stuff anymore, or should I just be like, okay, yeah, what a dirtbag? So
Yeah. Well, from the little bit we heard, which was just the first day, their opening stuff, and then the accuser's testimony, it doesn't seem like there's much going on there, besides him being mean to her, and then her feeling like he attacked her when she was holding his phone and he was trying to get it from her. But we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they're going to have a hard time proving there was an assault, is
Yeah,
the
I
thing.
agree.
And either way, it's kind of like it's, in a way, it's very kind of reminiscent of the, except I don't know, since it's not televised, I don't know their demeanor there. Whereas, obviously, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, you could see their demeanor. And, you know, you kind of pick up a lot on a person's credibility by that. But I feel like it's probably a case of like, it was probably not a super healthy relationship. I don't know that it was necessarily abusive, and if it was, I don't know that it was necessarily abusive in a one-way direction. And because that's kind of how some relationships are, you know. And I feel like they're gonna have a hard time proving that it was
but
for certain one way or the other.
it wasn't physically abusive besides that one time, she said. And some of the things that she said were abuse weren't. That's not abuse. That's just people having conversations that you're uncomfortable with. That's my opinion, though.
Right. Right. But I don't know. It's one of those things. It's one of those things, but it is, if, you know, if it doesn't work out in his favor, it is unfortunate from the point of view of a person who enjoys watching people perform that are talented at it. And because he, in everything I had seen him in, was pretty good and stuff. Except Loki season 2 as the Old West version of Kang. I hated his performance. I hated the way he talked. It was terrible. But as like End of the World Kang, I loved it. So,
Well, I mean, it's
Or End
funny
of Time.
because even He Who Remains like kind of made fun of him. You know, I thought that was interesting. It's like even he knows. He's like, oh, stuttery guy.
I know we're not talking about Loki, or that's not the subject of today, but I found it interesting that there would be variants of him from different times in the time, in different worlds. Like I can understand there being like him, different versions of him, like a female or an alligator or however they did that. But it's weird to have him, but him from way back when. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense to me as much.
well, also isn't there supposed to not be other hymns? Like that was the whole thing. Is he like, he's the one, he's the one, right? Like
but
he
that-
got rid of the other ones to avoid
that was only
the
when there was
Kang
only-
War or whatever.
That was because there was only one timeline, and he had murdered all the rest of them. If they're allowed to be other timelines, there would be other ones of him, and they'll probably keep coming.
Right. You're right. That makes sense. Yeah, I did like. I mean, it is. I would say it is a little bit like, oh, magic out of nowhere, how Loki fixed the issue. But then again, like they even make a big point of it. Is, I mean, he is a god. Sure, yeah, it's magic out of nowhere. But
And he also,
beyond
like,
that,
spent thousands of years like just becoming a master of it.
Yeah.
right.
And
I wish we would have. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it's okay.
I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of I mean, we kind of got that in the like montage of like it just not working over and over again.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel it's interesting because there's still flavors of Doctor Who in there because it's very much kind of is it Heaven Sent? Was that the first part or the second part? Or no, maybe it wasn't either. No, yeah. Which was the one where he's trapped in the like time dial or whatever the
Oh,
heck it is.
you're thinking of a different one because Heaven Sent was like the one where he becomes president of the world.
Oh, okay, right. With the
'Cause that deals
Cybermen
with-
and the nanobots and okay, no. I think it was the next season. Whatever it was called. Like one of the greatest episodes of Doctor Who.
Took him a million years to break through the
Right.
wall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a little cheesy, but it's got flavors of that to that concept. But I feel like you got a better sense of it in Doctor Who than this one because it's just kind of like such a minor part of the episode, really.
Yeah, and he doesn't age, which is also kind of weird.
I also like that for right. I also like that for a moment. Well, I don't know. That kind of plays into one. He's a god or whatever, so who knows how old him and Thor both are. But also, it seems like nobody ages in the TVA. So, because, and they talked about it more last season, but like Morpheus and all of them, they've been working there for like hundreds of years, maybe. They don't know. Time doesn't work the same there. So,
And Ouroboros
that's
doesn't even sleep,
interesting.
so
Right.
When they kept saying that like the time slipping was impossible because the TVA exists outside of time.
Right, right. Sylvie's a weird character.
I was gonna say, if I'm disappointed in anything this season, it's how they changed her. Like, I kind of get her motivation, but I don't. Also, like she's totally different this season.
yeah, she wasn't in it much either.
Right.
Yeah, I was about to say, does she? Did they not have access to her very much? Because she'd show up, or they'd show up around her to and for her to be like, "No, I'm not helping. No, it's fine. Leave it alone." And blah blah blah. Like, I don't know. The earlier part of the season was a little rougher, and we talked about this previously, to where there were plot. Like, it really felt like this could have been at least 2 more episodes. There was stuff that I feel like was maybe a little over condensed, that could have breathed more.
Yeah.
And they didn't pay her enough to have those bangs.
Maybe they couldn't pay her enough to get rid of them. I don't know. I did not like that hairstyle, but whatever.
I mean, it probably was era appropriate for being a McDonald's manager, I suppose.
I think that's the thing, though. Like, was it the 70s or 80s? I don't know. It was her alternate world was like also a couple decades back, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, at least, it was definitely 70s or 80s, and it was Oklahoma, so it was like rural.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the hair would have been appropriate for that place. But also, it's still the whole thing of like, she's still like, she's a Loki. Why of all places in the universe does she choose Earth in some rural like 1970s or 80s place working in a fast food? Like, she could choose anywhere. It's weird that it's like Doctor Who constantly coming back to Earth. It's like, dude, you're not from here, as far as you know, I guess. But
yeah.
what are you doing?
You spent your entire existence hiding, and then you're just going to do nothing of interest?
I mean, I kind of get the idea of just like a simple life, but they didn't even have her really articulate that. I guess show don't tell, right? But it still seems weird. And it seems weird that like her bags of food are disintegrating when she's not looking. Like, obviously something's wrong, and she should have connected the dots that like, oh yeah, no, this timeline isn't gonna be spared for some reason. Like, it's also gonna get eroded. But she just did not move on it at all until it was eroding.
She's just oppositional defiant. That's it. That's Loki's real problem. He's got that problem is he's oppositional defiant.
I thought it was interesting. The last Loki Morpheus conversation was with Morpheus before they were friends, where he like time slips to when Morpheus is first interrogating him from the first season, and they have that kind of heart to, or at least Loki has that kind of heart to heart. And at that point, Morpheus or Mobius, he's not offering him the red pill or the blue pill. At that point, like Loki's a horrible criminal to him. So that's an interesting choice.
But he was still trying to recruit him also.
Yeah, and I think it's also kind of speaks to the character, Mobius's character, that maybe he could sense, maybe it was just plot convenience, but maybe he could sense like, oh, this guy's being like super earnest with me suddenly. So yeah, I'm going to have a real conversation with this guy or whatever. Like, that does seem in line with his character. But
Yeah.
I, for a moment, thought they were just going to undo the entire second season. And I was kind of like,
Oh yeah.
That's bold. You
Right.
know, where they had the conversation with Kang, and I was like, are you about to like just negate the whole season? Because that's the kind of thing people like to complain about a lot. And I kind of would have actually enjoyed it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it would have also meant there was no actual progress. So
Right.
Well,
I guess it wouldn't have been
that's
a very
okay.
satisfying ending.
Sometimes
I'm
it is,
not
though.
entirely, even after the fact, I'm not entirely like grokking what He Who Remains' plan was. It was like, oh, she's definitely going to kill me, but I'm definitely going to come back somehow.
Yeah.
I think he was banking on Loki coming back like he did. There's some inconsistency. There's some stuff that just doesn't make sense though. Like, because He Who Remains inferred that he's the reason Loki can time travel now or control time. And I assume the plan was then that at some point Loki's going to time jump back here and realize he has to kill Sylvie and save him. I feel like that was maybe his plan.
I think so too. I don't think he ever would have guessed that Loki would decide to basically sacrifice himself for the greater good. You know, I think that was he assumed that Loki's were too selfish for that to happen. In which case the only thing he could do was kill Sylvie or let everything fall back to the how it was before with the failsafe on the loom.
Which is why it's so interesting and cool that he ultimately, reluctantly assumes the throne when his whole like modus operandi was to take the throne by force, selfishly. It's
Right.
like this was like his last. You know, that was basically like, all right, I guess I have to do this. This is what I have to do. This is not what I want to do. I want to hang out with my pals.
Yeah. He wants to get it on with himself. Come on.
How about that?
That's
too?
what he wants.
Right.
Let's get it.
It did so much have it did so much have an air of like the real journey was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah,
his like
yeah, a little bit. Like,
He's like, I just want to save my friends. So, you know, the real throne was the friends you made along the way. But
oh, if Odin could see me now with his one eye.
right. Pretty good though. I liked it.
Yeah.
I kind of wish whatever the plan for the MCU was going to be, they'd continue forward with it, but I feel like it's going to shift and change.
Yeah.
I think here's the problem is like I think they pushed it in the way they should have. They started like segmenting it into different properties that would appeal more to different audiences. But I feel like they still expect it to make the money of the properties that pull in every audience. And like it's not necessarily going to do that. You're going to have to like reassess your budgets and expectations unless you
I saw an infographic about this, and infographics can slant whatever direction you want them
Right.
to, right? But I think it's pretty accurate. Like, the most recent MCU movie that we got was The Marvels, and I haven't seen it, but I've heard from people that I generally trust, or at least have similar tastes to me, that it was fine. It was a good, fun action movie that did some interesting things because, like the Marvels keep changing powers every time they use their powers. So they had like that's an interesting conceit, and it's a different way to approach action, right? So I was hearing pretty decent things about it, and it wasn't like worldwide record breaking the way that like Spider-Man No Way Home was, but it was like the biggest movie of that month, period. And it's like, well, how do you say that was a failure?
it's the infinite growth issue. It's the infinite growth business mindset thing where it's like at a certain point you run out of infinite because infinite doesn't exist. It's
Right.
finite. So like, I feel like that's probably it. A little bit also probably people have been talking about superhero fatigue forever. I think maybe it's actually finally kicking in a little bit. Also, maybe they do, and I just don't see it. They probably just don't. I don't know. Frequent the areas that they market to, because I'm becoming an old man and I'm not their, I'm not their whatever target audience. But I seen like no marketing for Marvels.
Oh,
I
yeah.
seen like very little. Likewise, I don't know, man. The last several, I guess I had seen some for Ant-Man, Quantumania, but I feel like they're not getting the marketing push and just generally not getting the hype that some of the other ones had.
Sure.
And I'm not sure why that is, but
Well, like Aquaman 2 is coming out, and I don't know anything about it.
is it?
all.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it's out this month. And I've
What?
just barely seen anything about it.
How do? Yeah, how do we? We're the Grawlix podcast. You know,
Yeah. So Facebook should be shoving it in our face.
Great.
we don't necessarily always love it, but we've talked about this stuff for like the better part of 10 years.
Yeah.
How have we not seen this? Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Well,
We even have split opinions about Aquaman. Like,
right.
the algorithm knows this.
Right. Well, now it's going to advertise to us because all our devices heard us say it like 4 times. Excuse me. Maybe that's what I need to do. Just go into my living room, have my phone in my hand, and let my be in clear earshot of my Google device thing over here, and just say like DC, 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 Marvel, Marvel, Marvel. It's like Bloody Mary. You just say it,
It's
and the ads appear.
It's like Candyman. Yeah.
Yeah, Candy with
Candyman and a
Beetlejuice.
bunch of ads just show up like bees.
Speaking
I'm
of
excited for
Beetlejuice,
Yeah, Beetlejuice too.
we've we see that, like, it's weird the things that break through and then the things that don't, and then I'll read a headline. I don't like the Marvels. I didn't know it had even come out yet until I was reading the articles about how it underperformed. And it's like every Ridley Scott movie that's come out in the last couple years, I have heard nothing about until the inevitable article where he's complaining about how people don't go see good movies anymore. It's like, I didn't even know your movie existed, dude. Anyway, that's a whole other
Apparently,
topic.
nobody went to movies this last month, and that's why it's like it's still the biggest movie of the month. The Marvels was like it massively beat out everybody else in worldwide, in domestic, all across the board. It was the biggest movie. So maybe it was a bad time to bring out the movie. I mean, you could argue that, and maybe it's underperforming because of that. Maybe there are other factors, but also
it's-
it was the biggest movie.
It's almost Christmas and everybody's poor. What do they expect? You know?
Right, and they're waiting probably for whatever the Christmas movie is. There's a
Right.
Christmas blockbuster that's going to be coming out.
It is a kind of a weird time to drop a tentpole, or in theory, tentpole Marvel movie. Now that you mention it, maybe they always do around the holidays, but I don't know.
It's about chicks though, right?
Yeah,
So of course they're not going to give it a spotlight. Jeez,
right.
come on.
Yeah, well, they biffed the and that's the other thing. It's like, okay, they biffed the Black Widow movie too. So every time we have a movie that has leading women in it, we're gonna biff it and blame it on Marvel. Or who are we blaming it on? I don't.
The audience. It's the audience. They don't want women,
We're
right?
not woke enough. Yeah, we need to wake up.
Stupid.
We need
It's
some.
us.
We
We're
need some gay
sexist.
doctor. We need some gay Doctor Who.
We need some gay Doctor Who to save us.
Yeah.
Save us, gay Doctor Who.
You know what I was thinking might work? If he's supposed to be a human type thing or whatever, or he doesn't need to be human. You know what I think it should be? His clone should have a baby, and then he'd be his own grandpa, and that's how Time Lords were born.
That's the timeless child.
Yep.
So, like how Korg makes babies, is they put them in a lava or whatever, like two rocks, and then they put them in a lava, and you get a baby. Boom.
Hold on. So So in all likelihood, what you're talking about is Rose 1 and Metacrisis Clone Doc 10 have a baby.
Oh no, I meant his female clone would have a baby.
Oh, his actual daughter,
Yeah.
who's actually his
The
wife.
doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also his daughter.
Yeah.
If we're going by just doctors.
Right.
If people aren't, if hi person, if somebody's watching right now, they're not like super keen on Doctor Who or like up on it, none of that made
we
any
had
sense.
we had an invisible segue there and just started talking about Doctor Who.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We basically just
so-
started talking about Doctor Who. That's it.
that's it. Speaking of, Into the Wild Blue Yonder, I knew I shouldn't have got us on a like, what have we been watching? We're only spending 30 minutes tops on this Wild Blue Yonder.
Okay. Is this the one we just watched?
Yes.
Why is it called Wild Blue Yonder? There's no blue. There's no blue there.
They play the song. That's it.
Oh. Okay.
Oh.
That's dumb.
That's what they were all discussing and whatnot, because they were like, did the TARDIS just play a song while it was exploding? Mm-hmm. And that's what that whole conversation was about.
Right. Yeah.
And if anybody's curious about the gay Doctor Who thing, I don't know. Angry white guy YouTube Doctor Who review. Why do they still watch? They must hate watch. Doctor Who reviewers. I had seen, what's woke about the new episode, and it was something about the Doctor is gay now, or I don't know. I don't
Is it
care.
because he was like, appreciate it? You're like, that's his new thing is like, oh, that's the thing I say now. Like, I appreciate how. It's like he
Right.
appreciates people being attractive or something, and he's like, "Oh,
Right.
that's the thing I do now."
But also, like, did they never watch 9 when he'd flirt with Captain Jack? Like,
yeah.
since the modern, I guess, in a way, since Paul McGann, Doctor, since the Doctor got some type of sexuality in his life, it's been very fluid when it's there. So none of that should never be a surprise to anybody.
I think the Doctor's actually had a little bit of that even way back in the Third Doctor, because he was not okay with Joe Grant leaving.
You know what? The Third Doctor, man, I hadn't
Very
thought about that.
territorial.
Even if there wasn't like explicit, you can't help it. He just radiates it, right? he's
That Pertwee
one of those.
charm, baby.
Yep. He's one of those guys. He just radiates it. You can't help it.
oozes it.
But yeah, you're right. You're right. So this episode, special number 2. I don't like that it's like I kind of wish Disney Plus would group it as a season as opposed to like it's a separate title that you got to search up. Especially since they're numbered. It's like the special seasons. Be able to, like, it's the next episode. Anyway. What did you guys think of this kind of wild episode?
I thought it was kind of fun, but they went a little too much on some of the effects. Not all of them, but some of them. Some of them I enjoyed. But they could have gone really dark with it, much darker than they did even, and they didn't, and that was okay. Otherwise, it would have been more like what's that one? I don't know. But the things themselves, the aliens or whatever, I didn't really get that. I didn't understand their motivation. What they gave as their reasoning doesn't make sense to me. And that's about it.
Yeah, the whole conceit of it was a little confusing. Yeah.
If it's so far out that light can't touch it, nothing travels faster than light. So if light's not there, they're not going to have received any kind of communication from the rest of the universe.
You know what travels faster than light? Hate
Dark.
and war and
No, it
darkness. Yeah. Well, the whole thing was like they felt it emanating from over there. The like hate and anger and war of just humanity, just creatures, just living things,
And we
imprinted
want
itself
it,
on them.
my precious.
So I really enjoyed this episode. I don't think it's definitely not perfect. Melanie is right with the effects. Like sometimes they're pretty good, and then sometimes they just pushed them way too far.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure
They
they
were
knew
way
it. And they're
less-
just like, whatever.
Way less subtle in this one, where they were just
Oh no, yeah.
we got Disney money, fools.
Well, yeah, one of the 2 or 3 sets is just going to be a green screen, and we're going to make a completely CGI hallway out of it. That hallway looked fake all the time. If they were stationary, though, it still looked good. If they're running, it was terrible. Like the compositing of them on it just looked really bad. But whatever. They pushed the effects way too far, but I don't think they cared. They're just like whatever. But that also kind of plays into my main thing with this episode is the insane tonal whiplash. It's at times straight up horror, like cosmic existential horror.
Yeah.
That
In a brightly
feels
lit
very-
hallway.
In a brightly lit hallway. It feels very like dark. There's just a couple moments that just get super creepy. And that alternates between then super goofy living Looney Tunes characters, essentially. It's
and
a
an
really
adorable
weird,
rusty robot. Ugh.
Yeah.
right? Who moves so slow.
Yeah.
It was kind of a fascinating episode. It was tonally so strange. It was, yeah.
And it starts with like a total yeah, like a I don't know what you'd call it, but they rewrite history essentially, and it's like this doesn't even follow Doctor Who rules, but it's kind of funny. It is funny.
It's funny.
I hated the scene itself. I hated the execution of the Mavity thing with Newton. Everything about it, I hated it. I just didn't like I didn't jive with it.
Again, though, I think they were maybe poking fun at the people, what do you call them? The something warriors?
Well, no.
Those,
I mean,
or that's what they call other people. Whatever. The people who or take issue with its wokeness. Because they made Isaac Newton, I believe, not a white person, which is,
Right.
I mean, whatever, but that's a little much, actually, kind of like rewriting history just to piss people off. But I mean, if they want to, I don't care.
I don't know that I don't know. The guy was very tan. I couldn't tell. It is maybe a little weird to like, I feel like this isn't a word, but misrace factual living characters. But I don't know that that's what they were doing. It looked like he was cast by like a California bro or something, right? Like he
Yeah.
looked like he should have been catching some gnar waves.
Right.
The Mavity thing, I don't know, man. It's so goofy and also weird that like the Doctor's so nonchalant about it, but he obviously knows because after that point, since Donna's changed history, or whichever one of them said gravity and
They
cause
both did.
Newton and then get it wrong. Okay. After that point, it's now Mavity to Donna. But the Doctor says gravity at some point. Donna's like, what? And he's like, Mavity. So, like, the Doctor knows.
Yeah.
I thought that was, I don't know. I did, the initial joke was like, I don't know. I didn't care for the initial joke, but the effect was, like, the lingering effect is interesting.
I think the way that they carried it as a through line was funny. Like that was actually funnier than the execution of the original thing.
Right.
And then the memes, oh my goodness. Have you seen the memes where they've
No.
basically taken the movie Gravity and made it Mavity?
Oh, no.
No, I didn't. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, interest. That puts ideas in my head.
Why would you take a big, huge ship and go by yourself to the edge of the universe? Why would you do that? That doesn't make no sense.
Well, and then they kind of implied that maybe that ship wasn't originally doing that, and then what the Doctor did in the flux caused the end of the universe to have shifted, and now the ship is stuck way out there on the edge of the universe. Did you catch
Okay.
that, or am I misreading what they
No,
said?
I didn't really.
No,
get
that's.
that
I
either,
mean,
but
That actually makes a lot of sense. They talked about the flux a bit, but I didn't. That's kind of fascinating. If that's there, I kind of want to rewatch it to see it. Yeah, I didn't catch that. It makes sense. That's a really interesting thread to pull on.
Okay.
I
Still, why you want
I
to
want to say that
yourself?
they implied that when they were talking to just the doctor, when Donna was when
Yeah.
Donna was like, "Hey, this and the flux, and you destroyed half the universe, and look at where you are now."
Yeah.
It's like
What-
universe was expanding, and what the flux did, and now the ship is way here. Is what
see.
how I interpreted that.
Okay.
I like
But that's
that.
not really the doctor. That's a flux. The flux did that.
Well, he even said that like it was. He even said it. The flux. Because she said the flux. It wasn't your fault, and he said, "I know," but like he's still upset about it.
Yeah.
I think there's an intentional, and it's interesting, an intentional. Because 10, not that he wasn't emotional, but he was more stoic. I mean, he'd be like bubbly and talkative, but when it came to emotions, he was generally more stoic. But this one, 14, the scene where he like punching the wall, I was like, that's not very doctor-like. That's interesting. That's an interesting decision. And it kind of also ties into a little bit. This is why RTD's so good. Because we finally can talk again about these like nuanced things that are most likely intentional character traits that are written for the character as opposed to, I don't know, she says fam a lot. But
Yeah.
Right.
it kind of ties into him like saying things like, saying he loves people. He's like, oh, I guess I say that now. Like a more emotional version of 10, essentially,
Right.
for better and worse. Like that's pretty interesting. I wonder, and they only have one more episode to play on it, but I wonder if they're going to play on that anymore.
Yeah.
When we really haven't even talked about what the crux of these beings is. Like they basically just wander around trying to figure out this spaceship that's just out here on the edge of the universe. And the only reason they know that is there's 0 stars to even see. And so they're just like working on, I don't even know what they're trying to do, but they're like trying to reboot the ship basically. And that's when we discover, oh, that's not the doctor talking to Donna. That's something else in the room with the doctor. That's something else in the room with Donna because it's happening at the same time.
I thought that was really good, and whichever creature was the doctor was much more convincing at being the doctor than the Donna creature. And that
Right.
kind of seemed to carry through for the most part. So, because like the Donna creature was, I don't know, you could, of course we know at that point, but even when it switches back to the real Donna talking to the fake doctor, he still comes across like the doctor. I don't know. It's interesting.
There's reasonings for that though. If you follow their setup, that he thinks more, so it's copies him faster, or whatever.
Right.
Oh,
he
you're
can't
right.
help but think, right.
Oh, you're right. Man, it's almost like
Wow.
this was written by an intelligent person or group of people.
This, wait, Doctor Who has writers now?
Wow, that's really good. Okay.
I was when we watched it the first time, I was telling Rady, and this reminded me of it. It kind of reminds me of that one episode, I can't remember what it's called, but where Donna wasn't really in it, but he went on that little tour of that crystal planet,
Oh,
and
yeah,
Midnight.
there was
Something?
there was
Yeah.
that creature that actually took over somebody's body, but then it had to like repeat what everybody said to like I'm not really sure why, but to acclimate itself maybe, and it kind of felt like these were doing something similar.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. Melanie and I had that kind of discussion after this episode, where it is like it's obviously a different creature, but it's like a weird, like kind of hard to grasp concept of a creature that exists in a place that it shouldn't be able to. Like nothing should be able to live there, and that was the same case with Midnight, where it's like nothing can live on the surface of this planet or whatever, but there's something out there, and it's kind of physical, but also kind of not. And then, yeah, it kind of copies people to become whatever. It's a similar concept of creature. Where these are the whole like, there's nothing. It's the end of the universe. There's nothing out there, but nothing doesn't mean nothing really.
Right.
And that whole concept is weird because we don't have Bulgarian or Bolivian or it was Somalian flat math or whatever it is. He said weird random throwaway crap. He said, but I like that. I like that's it's weird because how can there be creatures out there?
They really do that well. Like both RTD and Moffat did that really well. If you think of like the Vashta Narada, you know, like they
Right.
just exist in the dark. They just do, you know, and they're
Right.
wild, almost like jungle creatures. Like they're just ready to feast because they're starved.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did find it maybe a little weird and kind of weak that, not weak, but I would have expected them to, they really did latch on to like hate and kind of evil because that's travels farther than love or whatever. But like, okay, well, but you got the Doctor and Donna there, and if you're feeding off of them, I would have assumed maybe they would take on some more of those traits, and we could have got
Yeah.
more of a like,
Yeah.
or maybe one of them would have kind of flipped a little bit, as opposed to just they're both evil and we got to explode them.
Or maybe it doesn't even have to go that deep. The excuse of the war and hate was stupid. It could have just been like, we want to exist, and if you won't, we know because we can see your brain that you won't let us go back with you if we don't get rid of you. That could be enough.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but I guess maybe interesting that they had to make them. It's not interesting. They had to make them like a threat. Like if they get over there, that's it. And that kind of plays on, or also stems from the idea of they even call out like how did they get so large? How are they so big? Like that doesn't work with mass and physics. And it's like, well, they're beings from nothing, from outside of the universe. So like it doesn't work the same way.
Yeah.
And so I guess that
Mavity doesn't even apply to them.
right. So I guess the idea is if they get to over there, they could just expand or whatever and take over anything and everything. And apparently they want to destroy. So
What did you think about the way they got rid of the TARDIS and the Sonic?
I kind of knew
felt-
as soon as he stuck the Sonic in there and left it or whatever, they cut to the shot where it's sitting there. I was like, they need to get rid of the Sonic for an episode, huh? Because yeah. I was not surprised when it vooped off. I was like, oh yeah, that seems about right.
Maybe she should have kept his sunglasses.
Right.
She's just, I can't get any signal on the cell phone. You got to figure out a story reason to not have the device
yeah.
that would save them.
Yeah.
And then it comes back, though. He's just like, well, there's this thing that I've always had that I just shut off, but since it's rebuilt itself, it's back on. Like, it's rebuilt itself like 5 times since you.
Yeah.
For as
It
smart
did-
as it is with some of the right... Go ahead. Sorry.
I noticed it was very different. The TARDIS was. The sign on the front
Right.
was completely different, and even the shape and color of it, I think, was a little different.
Oh, when it came back to get them?
No, before, I think.
Before, yeah. I think just
They
since since he changed into him. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
They do kind of change the TARDIS a little bit with every Doctor. Obviously, they talk about the inside, but I think the outside often changes slightly. And maybe this time, I didn't really notice it, but the color does seem more off now that you mentioned it. It's not quite the right blue, but I feel like maybe they did change it a little more than usual sometimes.
Did they
or
go
this
back
time.
to a
It's-
darker blue, or is it...
No, it's a lighter blue.
It's slightly
it's
off blue.
Shorter. It's shorter and fatter, and the sign is completely different. Take a look.
They do revise the TARDIS, though, fairly often throughout the series.
Sure.
It's just
Oh, sure.
the outside's usually not that noticeable. Yeah. What else was there?
That got me thinking about the Fugitive Doctor again, because it was like when they found the Fugitive Doctor's TARDIS, it was a police box, and yet it had a fully functioning chameleon circuit, or they fixed it. I don't understand. So it's like, did the fugitive doctor steal the same, or like the doctor stole the same TARDIS that the fugitive doctor had all along?
That's it. That's just lazy. It's a bit of laziness and contrivance to be like, well, but it's the TARDIS. That way you know it's the TARDIS. It's like, come on, man. You expect a, I don't know. Don't think so down of your audience that they're not going to pick up on that.
Right.
Because anything before the first Doctor shouldn't be a police box TARDIS.
Right.
Because I'm assuming the thing is like it's a police box because I think they've even mentioned it because whatever they showed up in the 60s, that would not have been out of place in the first episode when they were chilling in the 60s, England somewhere. But you're muted. Okay, you're still muted. Oh, maybe she's talking on the phone. I don't know what's happening. Let's keep talking.
Okay.
There's something else that is eluding me. I'm trying to think of what it is.
I mean, other than the outro where like everything's resolved and they meet up with people on Earth and we get the setup for the next episode.
Okay, you need to unmute yourself though.
I know. I said I was saying I was kind of talking to myself, but I was just in a thing so we could kind of show what the new one looks like a little bit, just the picture of it if we can. But then there is another one that I sent after that shows all of the TARDISes, but it didn't show the current one.
Okay, yeah, I'll pull that up. Good find. First off, let me.
Yep. I didn't realize that the outside changed before. But I mean, I don't think it was ever as dramatic, maybe. As
well, it used to
me,
have. There
at
was
least
one
this is.
point, like the fourth Doctor had that like dark sign, like the signs that say like for public use or whatever. That used to be dark. So
Right.
I've noticed some differences. Yeah, like the black,
Like this one is.
yeah. So that's almost a throwback to like the fourth, maybe even the fifth and seventh Doctor. I don't know.
And the windows are way different too, I noticed.
I'll pull up that other page. It's not going to be an example of this current one, but I'll pull up the other page you sent me.
Okay.
Oh wait, I did not mean to share though. Hold on 1 second. I think I shared the audio too, and didn't mean to do that. That might get a little weird.
Oh, yeah, get a pop-up ad.
Do not allow audio for that tab. Okay.
So yeah, I guess they all change a little bit, but I don't know. That just seemed
Right.
more so than before.
Like there's a trend of, kind of dark. It's almost straight up blue. That one does look straight up blue. That'd be the TV movie.
Oh yeah.
And then white. Yeah, the white. I guess they changed it to the black. 2018.
Black sign
That
again,
would have been.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they really went with the upped contrast on that with the white lettering. Whereas there was
Right.
white lettering in the 96 and 80s TARDIS, but it wasn't like high contrast.
Right.
I can't believe I never
shouldn't
noticed
have
the
shared
outside
it that
change.
way.
That's
I should have shared
crazy.
it. Yeah, there.
Well, they
I'm gonna
don't
share the
linger
window.
on the box all that often. Like you just see it for a
Yeah.
second and then they've walked away, kind of deal.
Yeah. Interesting. I do know, like, it's
And
kind
then
of
there's
hard to
Bessie.
tell here, but the width. I like that it's just like Bessie. The width. The width changes quite a bit sometimes too. Like you can kind of tell. I feel like it's gotten wider and wider,
Yeah.
and that's probably one makes it easier to shoot or to do crazy stuff that Moffat comes up with like Clara driving a motorcycle through the front doors.
Yeah.
oh, right. Yeah.
And maybe it's just supposed to make us feel fat when they have everybody running in one of the doors or something.
Right, that's another thing. The one door thing. That's probably, you know what? That's actually probably more of it. The one door thing is easier to shoot. You probably get more of a camera angle without having to show what's actually inside, which would be nothing, you know,
Right.
or doing like a visual effect to show the TARDIS beyond the doors. It's easier to just have somebody squeeze through one door. That makes sense.
Have the Doctor and Donna hanging out of one door so that you can't see inside.
Right.
Yeah, wow. Scope the windows on this Capaldi.
Yeah, I did notice that one was pretty dramatic
Yeah.
in terms of difference, because it brought back the St. John's symbol too, which was gone for a long time. Like the first
Whoa.
Doctor's box had that St. John's symbol, and then it it was
Yeah.
gone throughout most of the 80s eras, and that was back.
When was it tiny? I don't remember.
Oh,
a
it's that
tiny,
silly
tiny
episode
TARDIS.
where it malfunctioned and like she had gotten out, but it like had the outside had shrunk down or whatever, and he was still in there. And that was during the like one or two episode. Wait, is that Flatline?
That's the
Yeah,
one
that's the
where-
episode
Yeah.
leading up to her. Yeah, that's when she started like acting crazy because she's trying to be like the Doctor, which kind of led to like the recklessness of her eventually kiss the Raven or quote the whatever the Raven episode is where she
Oh yeah.
gets
Is
that
that
curse essentially.
Sorry, that looks
In
like
the
a lament configuration.
The Doctor has such sights to show you.
There's a audio adventure where the TARDIS splits in half, and there's a white TARDIS and a black TARDIS, and there's a whole story
Really?
about that. Yeah, I never really did. Get
I
into
like that.
But, it was like Seventh Doctor storylines, so I didn't jump into that rabbit hole because it's like, oh boy, there's so much Big Finish. I don't have time for all of it.
Have they? Oh, they need to. I guess it's a little soon to update whatever the Doctor Who site, but man, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the best TARDIS? I feel like this one's maybe like one of the cleanest. It's very blue, and it's just the white lines on the windows make the windows. It's I don't know. It's not necessarily the best, but it's one of the cleaner ones.
But do you want it to be clear? You want it to be just gray so it'll blend in with the background, really.
Yeah. Make it. I
Like
want
that
it to
first
look.
one there.
I want the whole show to become black and white, just so the TARDIS just looks that much grungier.
That could be a fun. That would have been a fun like special thing, you know, like a 60th anniversary, like whatever the next anniversary will be, you know, 65 or 70 or whatever.
Right.
It would be fun to do a special just in black and white. It'd be a real
Yeah.
throwback. Instead, what we're going to do is colorize everything and animate what the Celestial Toy Maker episodes like it was done by Fortnite, Unreal Engine. That's what we're going to do. Have you seen some of those? Oh, they look awful.
Not to bash on the companies that they hire to do the animated recreations. I hate the look of all of them. They all look so terrible and cheap. And I know they are cheap, and that's not even the production company's fault. That's BBC not wanting to shell out money for it. In fact, I've read articles about the people they hired doing that be like, listen, we can improve this, and we just won't charge you extra. We're just going to do this for free. And the BBC's like, no,
Right.
don't.
I want to say like the earliest ones were really good. And they've gotten worse.
There is, I can't remember the channel. They've been putting together like an insane Doctor Who fan movie using that like has all the doctors in it using footage from this show, you know, like crazy effects and stuff. And they've been putting it together for years. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But they've released some videos, and some of the stuff is kind of incredible. Like occasionally it gets a little weird, you can tell. But I feel like especially maybe, with AI and kind of deep fake stuff, they're maybe doing some stuff too. But like recreating Pertwee's forced regeneration, and then like they created this whole sequence of I guess it would be Troughton's regeneration into Pertwee.
Right, the War Games one, yeah.
But they created this like whole sequence of Pertwee in the TARDIS before the TARDIS lands, and he like flops out, which is where we see him for the first time.
Oh yeah, and he's in the yeah.
And it's kind of incredible. I was like, wow, okay. He's not doing much. He's just sitting there like reeling, but it was kind of incredible. So I don't know. People are doing some really interesting stuff on the fan side of things in terms of that with effects. How did we get on that topic?
Well, but you know what? According to this episode that we're watching, I would say that the Disney, BBC people, whoever is working on this now, needs to not do that. Needs to go the opposite direction and get a little more practical, maybe with some of their effects, and work on just making it look real. Instead of just being like, "Ooh, we have a budget."
Well, it's like the Meep episode versus this episode. Like the Meep episode's so much better because they used their CGI, but they used it in better ways, and then the practical effects look better because they just upgraded them.
Yeah, this felt a bit like, this felt like, hey, spend some of that Disney money. Let's get some of those Marvel effects teams on this. Let's just spend some of that money. Because the hallway was wildly unnecessary the way they did it. It didn't need to. I guess it's interesting that it shifts around, but it didn't need to shift around. Like, there really wasn't a purpose for that.
I also feel like 1 and 3 are going to be location heavy, and they were like, let's do one where we just are on the studio all day.
Right. Good call. Good call. I did enjoy. Oh, that's what I was going to say that I was trying to remember. I did enjoy that we got a proper Dr. Donna adventure. But that's also kind of interesting because it's almost a little bit of like kind of catching up, I guess. Not really, but I was going to say, though, they still have to torture Donna. The fact that he leaves her there as it's about to explode, like how horrifying that would be. That's like on the, and I'm sure he could play it off like, oh, I could tell, but like, nah, he grabbed the wrong one. He grabbed the wrong one and took off. And sure, he got back in time, but still.
Oh yeah.
That's on par with at the end of this episode where it's about to explode and I'm the real Donna, whatever, blah blah blah, and he takes the wrong one and leaves the other one, and like stuff starts exploding while she's there. She's about to die. You just got to torture her that little bit. Any chance you get, you still got to torture Donna. It's kind of wild.
Mm-hmm. But she wasn't doing math or anything, so he wasn't gonna leave her behind.
Wasn't doing math or anything.
I was just thinking of that boy that was working out a math
Adric.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Right. Oh, man. Yeah, it's funny. All right. Well, hey. Yeah, no, this was a good time. I enjoyed this quite a bit.
And we got Wilf.
Yeah.
And we got Wilf. It was great to see.
Me old soldier.
And he'll be in the next one, won't he?
Yeah, at least at the very beginning he will be.
Right. Probably like, okay, get in the TARDIS. We'll take care of this. We got you for a day.
Well, I've seen a preview, and it'll involve Unit. So. I think this.
Yeah, I haven't watched the preview.
Episode where we get to see Unit has taken over Stark Tower, basically. Just in case we forgot that Disney owns Doctor Who and Iron Man.
Jeez.
Right. So this will be the big, like, guest episode, guest appearance of whatever this. Yeah, yeah.
When we've got Doogie Howser and we've got
Yo.
so Celestial Toy Maker or whatever. We've got it all.
I like Doogie Howser though. I like his weird magician thing that he's all into.
Yeah. Oh, I think he's gonna play it great. Yeah.
He's all into it on this for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing.
I think it will be
man.
amazing.
But that's like a week away or several days away. I wish that we had something else amazing in the meantime.
Yeah. What else is amazing?
Artificial intelligence is amazing. Because not only can it make passing mediocre arts, it can also save scientists years of painstaking work. So there's the AI GNOME, which stands for Graph Networks for Material Exploration, and it has discovered 2.2 million new crystals, which is the equivalent to 800 years of human research. It's crazy. And even though only 380,000 of these are stable materials, that's still like 10 times the amount of crystals that humans have discovered in all of human history. Also, there's a neural network, AI, that they took and enhanced and reworked a little bit. So now it features targeted augmentation addition that allows it to track neurons in animals that are moving or deforming, like worms where they like squish up and then pull apart, And before that, scientists had to go in and like hand annotate neurons like frame by frame to try and track them. And so this is going to save like years and years and years of research work. So this is the kind of thing that I think AI was made for and will advance humans crazy fast rather than, and I mean, I know it's fun to use them for other stuff too, but this is the kind of thing that we need them for, not to write our research papers and, or homework, and draw pictures for us. We can do that fine on our own. This is the kind of thing we need them for. Save us hundreds of years of work and advance us that much faster,
And pilot really
amazing.
Slow robots so that the nothing from the edge of the universe can't get here.
Well, it can't because there's no giant wolves for it to inhabit.
That's true.
But
Yes.
in order to do that research, did they steal my artwork? Is this ethical AI?
Did Google scrape it? That's what I want to know.
Threads is such a. Threads is getting to a Twitter point. It's getting more and more like Twitter every day, which means even though that's kind of what I wanted. And they also just added tags, kind of, but you can only use one tag in a post. Anyway, the AI constant debate is so insufferable to me at this point. And the algorithm knows I like to post or interact with people about AI
you like
art.
the drama, yeah.
Well, it doesn't know the difference between the just AI stuff and the drama. And so it shows me all of it, and it's just insufferable. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Anyway, the drama. It's so one note, though. That's the problem. Like, yeah, sure, it's interesting. That's an interesting debate. But then it just, like all debates online, it just becomes the same thing endlessly.
You're on this team or you're on that team, and there's
Yes.
no real nuance. There's no real debate actually happening. It's just, you're wrong and I'm right, or vice versa.
Yeah. It's very old. But, yeah, no, Melanie is right. Also, though, it does need to be able to make me movies based on my dictation. I don't care what anybody says. I will
Or
steal
be my
all your
DM.
artwork. I will steal all your artwork gladly if I get to make magic movies. Okay?
That's right. If
Eat it.
I could have an AI DM, that would be a lot easier than
That's right.
going to Humble Bundle using our Grawlix affiliate link, which is grawlixpodcast.com/humble, to get the solo role-playing bundle so that you can just play D&D by yourself because you don't have any friends to play games with.
Because at a certain age, all of your peers have families and children, and they like to do other things. It gets very hard to
play your fantasy game that you want.
Theoretically, it does. I still have friends that don't have children, but I just don't go anywhere. So
I just want to be a halfling bard.
I've never even finished a freaking game because everybody pooped out on me.
Yeah.
And I didn't even want to play.
We did have
I was
people
talked into it, and then I got good at it, and now I'm mad. I want to finish.
Well, you did also. The mad part is right. You got so angry when it seemed like your character was in danger.
Oh,
you got so
man,
mad.
nobody likes that.
got so
Nobody
frustrated.
likes when their character's going to die. Nobody likes that. Ever.
I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna kill him. I was just gonna
Well,
make it more challenging.
I loved my character. He was the best ever.
That's good, but
And
you're
then there was a
difficult
game
to
we
DM
played
for.
where we all died. So for
Right.
the Grawlix podcast special, we were like, you know what? Only one of us will live. You're
That
probably
was
gonna
fun.
die.
That was fun. I kind of wish I hadn't have maybe like infringed on the Friday the 13th copyright so much, but I couldn't help it. That's just the way it went. Is that the one you're talking about? Our
Yeah.
summer camp
Yeah.
slasher type?
The one where Jasper could do nothing right and still lived.
Yeah.
That was the best. That's like,
Yeah.
that is role playing, like that's tabletop gaming at its best. When the odds are so clearly against him and he still manages to be the sole survivor somehow.
Yeah. Wasn't he like dying the entire time?
Yes, he almost drowned in the very first scene. We weren't even being
He almost
attacked by a slasher. It was just like he's like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud! He's like, I can't swim. Oh God, of course you can't.
That was so good. I think that was that 2017? No, maybe
man.
later. Excuse me. I'm gonna find viewer or listener. I highly suggest searching that episode out because it is definitely one of our bests, and it's evergreen. It's not a. Oh, here we go. Grawlix of Halloween's Past. The episode was the 2018, the Grawlix Podcast Halloween Special 2018. Oh man, the 2017 and 2018 Halloween specials I think are some of our best episodes because the 2017 was our audio drama of House of.
Oh yeah,
It was the Swamp Thing story.
Secrets. Is that right?
Yes, I'll say yes. I mean, those aren't like the typical episodes, but man, those were some of the best.
Okay.
But also go to StreamYard. That's what we've been using. We've been using it for years. You should check it out. You stream easy to multiple platforms. We're streaming to 2 Facebook pages, probably Jesse's Facebook page,
Yep.
YouTube, and Twitch at the same time, and it was easy. I just click when I started the stream, and we're rolling. And also, you can do. Excuse me. I hope you didn't hear that. You can do cool stuff with branding like this. Not like that, like this. What's that? I don't even know what that is. Maybe like that. Nope, not that.
Not that one. Not that one. Come on. But also
get
that
started
one.
for free.
You can do that one.
But it can do that. StreamYard.com. No, yeah, StreamYard.com. No, yes. All right, thanks everybody. Let's wrap it up. Anything else before we go? I think that was pretty much it.
Nope. That was it.
I'm good.
All right. So the next special is this weekend?
Yeah.
They're
One
going
more.
bang, bang, bang on all 3?
Yep. 1, 2, 3. Last I heard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Isn't there also going to be like a Christmas special then?
Yep. Then we get Churigawa. We get 15.
Oh,
I know. And then I don't know. There will probably be a break there, but I don't know how long that break will
Yeah.
be. Because they've already filmed it, right?
Right.
Yeah. And they're already talking about filming the next one. So far, RTD is making good on his promise that there's not going to be as much downtime.
Good. Yeah, because I know they're not going to be. The seasons are going to be shorter in general.
Right.
But then again, they've kind of been all over the place for a while. So, all right. Thanks everybody. Have a great weekend. It's almost here. I know Thursdays they can get bent, but it's almost Friday.